For nearly a decade, I, Monica, 28, lived under the delusion that I was the ultimate puppet master of my own life, meticulously crafting every detail, especially my relationship with Ben. I believed I was in control. Then, one seemingly harmless girls' night at Nancy's apartment changed everything. Ben, my fiancé, walked in unannounced, not to surprise me, but to inadvertently become the silent witness to my cruelest betrayal. How quickly can a lifetime of lies unravel? In mere minutes, his icy stare, a dropped phone screen, and a chillingly familiar voice recording revealed I wasn't just venting, I was exposed. Every cruel word, every private jab, laid bare. The entire catastrophic truth exploded in less than an hour. And Ben? He just stood there, clutching a forgotten phone charger, utterly unaware that the stable, predictable man he thought he was about to become my greatest threat. Before I do, take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if this story earns it. Drop your city and your local time in the comments. I like knowing who's out there. I stood in the doorway, heart pounding my ring, feeling unbearably heavy, not from its weight, but from what I'd just done. I had trashed Ben, my fiancé, in front of my closest friends, saying things so unforgivable that even I wouldn't forgive me, but he wasn't supposed to hear it. It was just drunk and venting a private girls' night out confession. Yet Ben had walked in at the worst moment, hearing himself reduced to stable, predictable, safe. Now everything we had was on the verge of collapse. Ben, I whispered, voice unsteady. Can we please talk? His eyes, once so warm, were now cold stone. He had come unannounced, collecting scattered belongings, a few shirts, his gaming console, a laptop charger, pieces of himself, leaving my life. What's there to discuss? He said, setting down a small box. You made it clear, I'm the backup plan, the safe choice, the lesser man. I swallowed hard. I never meant for you to hear that I was just venting. He let out a bitter laugh. Right, just casual talk about how I'm boring in bed, how your ex was bigger, how I don't excite you, real harmless, Monica. Tears burned my eyes. I'm sorry. Okay, people say stupid things when they're drinking. Ben didn't budge. Stupid. That's putting it lightly. You called me compact but dependable, like some budget car. And let's not forget how you prefer the lights off, because I'm not worth seeing naked. I cringed, remembering how Nancy, Simone and Maria had howled at that. I had basked in their laughter, never thinking Ben would hear every cruel word. It wasn't meant to humiliate you. I lied. Knowing full well it had. I just let the alcohol talk. He dropped the box onto the coffee table. Jaw clenched. Right. Blame the wine. Anything but owning up to how easily you tear me down, I flinched at. His words was ready. That future was slipping away. Ben, you can't just walk away. You're my fiancé. His smirk was lifeless. Fiancé. That's just the title you gave me. When you got tired of waiting for someone better, I reached for him, but he stepped aside, heading for the door. Please, I whispered, let me make it right. He turned, voice cold. And how do you fix the fact that I was just your backup plan, that I'm the guy who pays bills on time but isn't exciting enough for you? I opened my mouth, but no words came. What could I say? I'd spilled every ugly thought in my head that night. His eyes flickered over me, taking in my trembling stance and tear-streaked cheeks. If he'd seen me like this a week ago, he would have wrapped me in a hug tonight. He looked right through me. There's nothing to say, he muttered, booted, nothing worth hearing. Ben left, the door's echo, hitting like a final blow. I stood frozen, tears falling freely. I didn't know then that this was just the beginning. His war, one that would turn far darker than I ever imagined. That night, after my friends left, still laughing at my jabs at Ben, I felt oddly vindicated. The wine had loosened my tongue and I unleashed my frustrations. How he was stable but uninspiring. Decent but unspectacular. In bed. A good provider but lacking excitement. We all overshare, but this was downright cruel. Nancy had smirked, refilling my glass. Monica, I can't believe you said you'd ditch him if Alistair proposed. Are you sure about this wedding? I had giggled. Just being honest, remember Alistair. Unstoppable six-pack arms for days. Meanwhile, Ben. Well, lights stay off for a reason. They had erupted in laughter at the time. It felt good event to flaunt my dissatisfaction. No harm done. Ben wasn't there, except he was. He had come for a charger and overheard everything. His manhood, his performance, his worth. Shredded before my friends. He walked away without a word, but I would soon learn he had plenty to say. 2 days passed before I sensed something was wrong. Ben's usual warm texts were gone. No good morning, gorgeous. I assumed he was busy until the third day when my phone finally lit up. Ben, we need to talk. I'll be at your place tonight. A lump formed in my throat. Maybe a miscommunication about the wedding, but the moment I opened the door I knew everything had changed. He stood stiff in the entryway, arms crossed, eyes cold. No kiss, no touch, nothing. What's going on? I forced a laugh that died instantly. His stare cut through me. Where should I start? Maybe with how you called me a placeholder until someone better comes along, or how you mocked my body, said you'd never climax with me unless you pictured someone bigger. My stomach dropped. Panic seized me. Ben. How did you? His jaw clenched. I heard everything. Every joke about me being boring in bed. Didn't expect me to drop by New York, did you, Ben? It wasn't serious. I stammered. Just venting, girl talk. You humiliated me. He cut in voice, shaking, hearing the woman I planned to marry list why I'm subpar, and you enjoyed it, Monica, you loved it. Guilt and fear swallowed me. I'm sorry, I never meant. Just what he snapped, sharing a private laugh about the man you claim to love, pretending you're better than me because you once had a fling with some musclehead trainer. Or is it because you think I'll never leave, so you can say whatever vile things you want? Tears threatened, but I refused to cry. I was stupid. Okay, I messed up, but it's not how I really feel. I just said things to amuse them. He glared at me with a bitterness that made my stomach churn. You think that's an excuse? I shook my head, tears spilling now despite myself. No, but Ben, I love you. I just got carried away. His laughter was hollow. Yeah, you love me so much. You jump back into Alistair's bed. If he so much as crooked a finger at you. You said that, Monica. In fact, you bragged about it. I pressed a hand to my mouth, recalling my own words. If Alist ever got his act together and proposed, I'd probably be gone in a flash. It had felt like a silly, edgy thing to say at the time, never real, but now, seeing how it cut him, I regretted every syllable. Leighton, talk this out. I pleaded, we've been together for years. We have plans. We can fix this. He searched my eyes, and for a fleeting moment I thought I saw a flicker of the old Ben, gentle, caring, patient, but it vanished as quickly as it appeared. No, he said, stepping back. I don't think we can fix this. Some words can't be taken back. In the days that followed, our engagement unraveled. Instead of talking it out, we locked into a bitter standoff. Ben ignored my calls for a week. Through a mutual acquaintance, I learned he was staying at a friend's place. No word on our future. Angry and humiliated, I turned to my friends, but they had been part of that cruel conversation. Some admitted we went too far. Others said he was overreacting. Monica Nanei said as I paced her living room, just own up to it. Apologize, no excuses. I scowled. I tried, he won't listen. Humes made me the villain. Maria hesitated. It was brutal. You know how guys are about size. I groaned. I know I messed up, but does that justify him disappearing? We engaged. We fixed things, not run away. Simone snorted. You're forgetting. Men have egos. You basically said he's a last resort. I'd run too. Frustration churned inside me. My friends had encouraged the jokes, yet now they told me to gravel. The hypocrisy stung, but they were right. I had to fix this, except when I tried. I saw a new side of Ben, one that wasn't just hurt. He was planning something far darker. Late one evening I heard a knock on my door. My heart soared. Hoping it was Ben finally ready to talk. I found him on the other side, eyes, bloodshot, face etched with fatigue and anger. Wordlessly I stepped back to let him in. He stood in my foyer scanning the place where we once planned to start a family. The silence weighed heavily. Then he pulled out his phone, flipping through it in front of me. What are you doing? I asked. Confused, he flashed the screen in my face. You recognize the... My blood chilled. They were screenshots of text messages, my private chats with Nancy, with Maria, snippets of me complaining about Ben in vivid, humiliating detail. There was one text where I typed, he's sweet, but seriously, is it too much to ask for a guy who's bigger than average? I feel like I have to close my eyes and pretend he's Alistair. Just to get off, I blanched, ripping my gaze from the phone. You went through my phone. He stared at me. I used your cat's birthday as a passcode, not exactly secure, and yeah, I wanted to see if what I heard was just an isolated incident. Apparently it wasn't. My mouth went dry. Ben, that's private, you can't. Just he cut me off with a snarl. You want to talk about privacy after you publicly trashed me in front of your friends, don't make me laugh. I reached out trying to wrestle the phone from him, but he yanked it away. Ben, delete those please. He smiled coldly. Oh, I'm keeping them. Every word, every screenshot. I also have the audio recordings I took that night. Did you know I recorded it all? My phone was in my pocket, capturing the entire conversation about how worthless you think I am. My heart hammered so hard. I thought I'd faint. Why would you do that, Leverage? He said simply, you break my heart. I break your image. If you try to spin this story like I'm some monster, or if you try to win sympathy by painting me as incompetent, guess what I'll show people, exactly what you said in your own words. I stared at him, stunned by his sudden vicious streak. You're blackmailing me. He shrugged. If that's what you want to call it, fine, I prefer to think of it as insurance. You humiliated me. Now I have a way to humiliate you. Back seems fair. Tears scalded my cheeks, but I refused to break. I never cheated on you. I just vented. Why are you doing this? His voice dropped to a dangerous hush, because you're not just some random girlfriend, you're the woman I was supposed to marry. You swore you loved me and behind my back you reduced me to a punchline. You made me out to be a flaccid loser who can't keep you satisfied. That deserves more than a simple apology. I sank against the wall, shivering. Ben, what do you want? His lips curled in a grim smile. I want you to suffer the way I did. I want you to see how it feels when your secrets are out, when everyone looks at you with pity or disgust, but I won't do it yet. I'll let you stew, never knowing when or if I'll strike my throat constricted. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd always thought of Ben as a safe, boring guy with no capacity for real cruelty. Now I stood face to face with a man who was calmer, colder, more calculating than anyone I'd ever dated. He pocketed his phone, turned on his heel and left no final words, no chance for me to plead further. I sank to the floor in a sobbing heap, realizing that the sweet fiancé I'd taken for granted was gone, replaced by something far more sinister, in a twisted way. My fear fueled new waves of anger. I told myself he had no right to read my private texts, no right to threaten me if anything disproved he was the villain. I'd mocked him for not being, except now I was on the receiving end. You need to be careful. Nancy warned when I told her what happened. He sounds unhinged. Are you sure you're safe? I scoffed, though my bravado was shaky physically. I'm sure he'd never lay a hand on me, but he can ruin my life in other ways. He's got humiliating texts about me hating my job, calling my boss an idiot, faking sick days. If that gets out, I'm finished. Maria bit her lip. Can you do damage control like, let your boss know you've been going through a rough time? I groaned. You don't get it. He has real evidence of me planning to skip important meetings, forging doctor's notes, mocking upper management. If I get fired, I could be blacklisted from the entire industry. Nancy frowned. That's insane, I mean. Does he really want to destroy you that badly? I exhaled shakily. He wants me to feel as humiliated as he felt. I guess he thinks it's justice as moan. Flipping nervously through her phone whispered, he's punishing you, but maybe if you lie low he'll calm down. Calm down. I repeated, bitterness creeping into my tone. We're supposed to be planning a wedding. Instead he's threatening me with revenge. Porn, except it's not porn, it's just my humiliating confessions. This is beyond calm down. In a fit of misguided indignation, I vented once again, saying all sorts of things about Ben. I raged to my friends in person, this time about how he was a petty, insecure, controlling jerk. How I wish I'd never said yes to his proposal. I made them promise not to repeat any of it electronically, terrified he'd have spies or a way to hack my phone again. But even as I spilled those toxic words, a dark part of me knew I was only digging myself deeper. One evening, still stewing over everything, I made a reckless decision. I called Alistair the ex I had so casually compared to Ben. Part of me wanted comfort, part of me wanted revenge. He picked up on the second ring. Monica thought you'd be married by now. I forced a laugh. Yeah, the wedding's on hold, might not happen. He whistled. Guess your fiance didn't measure up, swallowing my guilt. I asked to meet. He agreed without hesitation. The next night we sat at an old date spot. The past rushing back. You once said I made you feel alive. He mused, sliding me a drink. So what happened? I forced a smile. You weren't ready to settle down. I got tired of waiting. He smirked. Maybe I am now. People change. Guilt crept in. Was I really doing this just to spite Ben? But bitterness drowned reason. I leaned in, letting Alistair's hand rest on my thigh, chasing the thrill of desire over stability. Then I saw him half hidden in shadow, leaning against the wall at the far end of the bar. Ben, our eyes locked. He smirked, lifted his glass in a mocking salute, then turned and walked out, vanishing into the crowd of night owls. My stomach clenched. Alistair noticed my sudden pallor. Monica. You okay? I forced a shaky laugh. Yeah, I'm fine. Just thought I saw someone, but dread sank into my bones. If Ben had witnessed me flirting with Alistair, would he double down on his threats? He'd claimed he wanted me to suffer. Maybe seeing me in another man's arms was exactly the kind of provocation that would push him to unleash every humiliating text, photo, and snippet he had. The next day, a text arrived from Ben. Rooftop lounge on 7th, tonight p.m., come alone. My hand trembled around my phone. Was he going to confront me about Alice? Was this another trap? Still, I had no real choice. So at p.m. I stepped into the swanky rooftop lounge, heart pounding, scanning the clusters of well-dressed patrons. I spotted him on the far side, leaning on a railing that overlooked the city skyline. He wore a dark suit, crisp white shirt, and an expression that chilled me to the bone. Hi, I said softly, stepping up to him. He nodded in acknowledgement but didn't smile. You look good. He said, flatly better than last night when you were letting a list grope you in public. I bristled, face heating, so you were watching. He shrugged, swirling the drink in his hand. Guess I wanted to see how far you'd go. Another piece of evidence, if you will. I swallowed, fighting back tears. I never cheated on you. You walked out before anything happened. His eyes flicked to mine cold. So you're asking me to be grateful that you only openly flirted with your ex, while we're still technically engaged, that's your big moral stance. I averted my gaze, embarrassed. What do you want me to say? He drained his glass, set it aside. I want you to stop playing the victim. You set this in motion when you decided to humiliate me behind my back, and now you're openly humiliating me in front of everyone else. It's like you can't help but degrade me, even after you know I'm ready to break you if you cross a line. My heart pounded so fiercely I thought my chest might explode. Ben, I swear I wasn't trying to humiliate you. I was just upset, angry. Everything is a mess. He scoffed. You think you're the only one who's upset. You think I enjoy lurking around hoping you don't escalate. This is your fault, Monica. You made me realize I was never truly respected or desired in this relationship. Tears welled in my eyes. I respect you. I stop lying. He hissed. You told them my body is a joke compared to your ex. You said I'm too boring to keep you happy, you fantasize about while we're in bed together. That's not respect. I clutched the railing, struggling to breathe. I never meant it. It was drunk talk. His gaze narrowed. I'm starting to think everything you say is just talk, drunk or not. You said it and you meant enough of it to repeat it multiple times. Silence stretched, broken only by the distant hum of city traffic and the quiet chatter of lung-goers behind us. My tears fell freely, now no longer caring about my makeup or my composure. If there was even a shred of pity left in his heart, I prayed he'd see how sorry I was. Instead he leaned in close voice, a low rasp. You want to push me further. Keep messing with Alistair. Keep telling your friends I'm worthless. Do it because I'll nuke your life, Monica. I have everything saved in multiple backups, your job, your relationships, your family's respect. I'll burn it all if you keep provoking me. My breath stuttered. You can't. Oh, I can, he said almost gently, and I will, don't doubt it for a second. After that chilling exchange, I staggered home a sobbing mess. The next morning I called out of work again, feigning illness too. Shaken to face the day, my phone buzzed intermittently with messages from Nancy, Maria and even Simone, all worrying about me, but I couldn't handle their sympathy or their scolding. Later that week my mother called, excited to discuss wedding favors and floral arrangements. My stomach lurched as I realized I'd have to pretend everything was fine or risk her barrage of questions about the sudden tension between me and Ben. If she knew half the truth, she'd probably have a stroke on the spot. That evening, I forced myself to approach wedding tasks with robotic determination. Sifting through catalogs and color schemes, I typed out a text to Ben, half of me hoping to broker a truce. Monica, let's talk. We can't keep fighting like this. If we're ending it, we need closure. If we can salvage something, we need to try. No reply came. Hours later I sent another, a bit more desperate. Monica. Please, we can't just stay in this toxic standstill. Still nothing. At midnight, I stared at the ring on my finger, recalling the day he proposed, how his face had glowed with such genuine hope. I'd been so elated at the time, thinking I'd finally locked down a decent, stable man. Now that memory felt like a cruel mockery. Maybe I'd never really loved him for him. I'd loved the security he represented and I'd stomped on his heart without a second thought. But did that justify his blackmail and threats? My mind spun with conflicting emotions, guilt, anger, regret, fear. I was drowning in them, powerless to see a way out. In a last-ditch effort to protect myself, I reached out to a mutual friend of ours named Trevor, someone who worked in the same industry as Ben and might have some dirt on him if I could find something equally devastating to hold over Ben's head. Maybe I could force a stalemate. Trevor agreed to meet me at a quiet cafe on the outskirts of town. He looked uneasy as I explained my predicament in hushed tones, leaving out the nastiest details but making it clear that Ben was using personal info to blackmail me. "I can't believe he'd do that," Trevor said, scratching his chin. "Ben's always been so even-tempered." I gave a bitter laugh. "Yeah, well, you didn't see his face. When he heard me joke about preferring my ex's body, it changed him." Trevor nodded, then leaned closer. "So you need leverage." Relief flickered in me. "Yes, anything that can get him to back off. I know he's not squeaky clean. Everyone has skeletons." He sighed. "I'll poke around, but no guarantees. Ben's a perfectionist at work. He rarely leaves loose ends still there. There might be a few rumors about mishandled accounts." My chest loosened slightly, "Thank you," but as Trevor left, that flicker of hope was accompanied by a pang of guilt. I was sinking to Ben's level, scheming to blackmail him back. But after weeks of living in terror, I felt I had no choice. Days stretched into a tense limbo. I avoided all digital communication about Ben, terrified he'd intercept something. I spent my nights half awake. One wondering if he'd decide tomorrow was the day he'd ruin me. My phone was always on silent, but each time it lit up with a notification, my heart pounded. Then, a week later, Ben texted, "I'm coming over tonight. Pack my remaining things, don't argue." I paced my living room, cursing under my breath. He'd taken most of his clothes during earlier visits. All that was left was some workout gear, a box of personal keepsakes and random tech gadgets. That evening, at the stroke of 8 p.m., he walked in face impassive. I held out the box. "Here. That's everything." He nodded, tossing it aside for the moment, then met my eyes. "We should talk." I swallowed. "That's what I've been saying for days, but you never responded." He shrugged, "Had nothing to say. Until now, I've been busy sorting out my own plans, figuring out how to proceed with the rest of my life, whether it involves you or not." My stomach knotted and his gaze was glacial, "And I've decided I don't want you." As my wife, tears sprang up immediately, but a spark of anger flared too. "Then why are you here tormenting me? Why not just walk away for good?" He took a step closer, so close I could see the tension in his jaw. "Because I want to see if you'll beg. I want to see you on your knees, admitting how wrong you were to treat me like dirt." A wave of humiliation crashed over me. "You're sick." A bitter smirk flickered across his face. "Am I, or am I just responding in kind to what you did? If you'd had even an ounce of restraint, we'd still be picking out wedding cakes instead. I'm standing here, contemplating how best to break you." A sob tore from my throat. "I'm sorry, Ben, please. I know I messed up. If you want me to get on my knees, fine." My legs started to buckle. He grabbed my arm, startling me. "Don't." He muttered, voice unsteady. "Don't degrade yourself. It's not worth it anymore." We stood there, locked in a miserable standoff, both on the verge of tears. Then he let go, stepping back. "Monica," he said quietly, "I loved you, but now all I can see when I look at you is how easily you tore me apart. You think I'll forget that my tears flowed? No, but maybe one day you'll forgive me." He exhaled, shaking his head. "Forgiveness isn't part of my plan. I have to protect myself now." You taught me that. He picked up his box, gave me one last lingering look, then walked out, leaving me trembling. In that moment, I realized just how deep his hatred ran and how thoroughly I destroyed the gentleman he once was. Trevor finally got back to me with a lead: possible financial misconduct at Ben's company. Nothing concrete, but enough to spark hope if I found proof of fraud. I could use it against him if he exposed my humiliating texts. I'd ruin his career. Desperate, I met with Trevor at my place, combing through documents he'd smuggled. But the more I read, the weaker the case seemed circumstantial, at best worse. Trevor lingered too close, touching my back, my shoulder as if expecting something in return. My skin crawled, but I needed this. If flirting got me proof, so be it. 2 hours in, a sharp knock startled us. My heart pounded. Ben. I checked the peephole, nothing. Another knock. I cracked the door. Taped to the frame was a small envelope, no sender. I tore it open. Inside a single USB drive labeled with my initials. Trevor watched as I plugged it in. A folder appeared, play me clicking it. My screen filled with grainy black and white footage. Nana's house. My voice slurred with wine rang out. Ben is so unbelievably smaller than Alistair, I can't even pretend otherwise. The audio was crystal clear. I had never realized someone had been recording. Tears burned my eyes as the video continued, capturing my girlfriend's laughter, my smirking face. The entire humiliating monologue was immortalized, and at the end a message flashed on screen, I have more. Trevor looked at me horrified. He's blackmailing you. This is serious. I nodded numbly, my throat too tight to speak. The worst part was the footage validated everything. Ben said he had recordings and he wasn't afraid to use them. Even if I threatened him with some shady office scandal, he could bury me with that single clip. Days passed without word from Ben, but the USB drive's message kept me in a constant state of dread. My job was precarious enough. If that video leaked to anyone influential in my life, I might as well pack a bag and leave town. That's when I realized I had one last card to play: a heartfelt public apology. If I confessed my cruelty and begged for his forgiveness openly, maybe I could rob him of the power he had over me. Sure, it would be humiliating, but at least it would be on my terms. I texted him again, Monica, I'm done fighting. If you want me to publicly atone for everything I said, I'll do it. Just meet me one last time, face to face. Surprisingly, he replied, Ben, tomorrow PM your place, no one else. My stomach clenched. Was he planning to humiliate me further, or was this a chance for closure? Either way, I had no other options. The next evening I paced my living room, every nerve on edge. He arrived right on time. Letting himself in, his expression revealed nothing. Ben, I began softly. Thanks for coming. He nodded. Setting his phone on the coffee table. Make it quick. I have things to do. I took a deep breath. I want to apologize publicly, if necessary, for everything. I'll post a statement or record a video, whatever it takes. I'll let the world know how. I disrespected you, lied about, you belittled you, then maybe you won't feel the need to blackmail me anymore. He cocked an eyebrow, arms crossed. You think a forced apology means anything? You think it'll erase the fact that you called me an inferior man? Behind my back, tears welled up. No, but what else can I do? You're holding all the cards. A mirthless laugh escaped him. You still don't get it, do you? This was never just about apology. It was about you realizing that you can't treat someone like a joke and expect them to lie down and take it. My lip trembled. I do realize it, I swear. He stared at me for a long moment, then sighed, I'm not going to destroy you, Monica. Relief surged through me, you're not. He shook his head. I've had plenty of chances. I could have sent those videos to your boss, your parents, your social media contacts, but what would that achieve? Really, you'd lose everything and I'd be the scumbag who ruined his ex-fiance's life. That's not victory, it's just chaos. I collapsed onto the couch, tears streaming. Thank you, I swear I'll do anything to make this right. Ben looked away, jaw clenched. Nothing you do can fix the fact that you made me feel worthless, that you compared me to your ex like I was a defective spare tire. I had no comeback. Every harsh comment I made replayed in my mind like a broken record. He pulled in a shaky breath. But maybe you're not the only one to blame. Maybe I was naive, thinking my stability would be enough to keep you happy. I should have known better. A beat of silence passed, heavy with remorse. Finally he glanced at his phone, then back at me. "I'll delete the files from my cloud," he said, voice thick. "I can't say for sure, there won't be any copies left somewhere, but I won't use them. As for the wedding, that's done, we both know it." I wanted to run to him to throw my arms around him and beg for another chance, but the emptiness in his eyes told me it was futile. I understand," I whispered. He picked up his phone, tapped a few times. Then he showed me the screen folders labeled with my name disappeared one by one, they're gone. A sob of relief burst from my chest, but it was tainted by profound sadness. "Ben, I'm so sorry." He nodded, tears gathering in his own eyes. "Me too, sorry, I wasted so long thinking. You truly wanted me," his words stabbed me like a knife before I could respond. He turned and left the door closed behind him with a soft click that somehow felt louder than any slam. In the weeks that followed, I wrestled with grief, shame and a strange sense of freedom. With the blackmail threat gone, I no longer had to tread carefully, but the cost was immense. The wedding was cancelled, my family was devastated and my friends didn't know how to comfort me. Nancy kept me busy with group outings, while Maria bluntly reminded me that kindness could have prevented all this. One night I found an old photo album, Ben and me laughing on vacation, him carrying me near a waterfall clutching the picture. I wept. How had I destroyed a man who had loved me so deeply? I had turned him into someone vengeful, and it was entirely my fault. I heard through acquaintances that Ben was considering a transfer, possibly out of state. He told people little, only that the wedding was off. He never smeared my name or leaked anything. Instead, he left me to face my own mistakes some days. I almost wished he had exposed me. At least then the guilt would be over, but he let me twist, drowning in regret, a punishment worse than revenge. Time marched on, as it always does. The invitations to the cancelled wedding never got a formal explanation, just an awkward notice from my mother that we decided to delay the ceremony. People whispered. Speculated, rumors flew. Some suggested that Ben discovered I was cheating. Others claimed we had irreconcilable differences. No one guessed the truth, that a series of drunken, vicious remarks had escalated into a full-blown revenge scenario, turning him into a villain and me into a sobbing wreck. Occasionally I scroll through old messages or flick through photos of me and Ben smile, arms draped around each other at family gatherings or giggling on the couch during movie nights. Each image is a painful reminder of what we once had and how cruel words can slice deeper than any physical blow. Late at night, I sometimes dream of running into him years down the road. In the dream he's happy, maybe with someone new, someone who treats him with genuine respect. And I'm left on the outside looking and realizing I squandered my chance at a faithful, loving partner for the sake of a few cheap laughs. And in those dreams the regret is almost too much to bear. But that regret is the bed I made. That regret is my new daily companion, a constant gnawing ache at the pit of my stomach because I turned a kind, stable fiancé into a hardened, vengeful ex, and though he ultimately chose not to destroy my life, the pain I caused him and the monster he became in response will haunt me forever.